Here we go.
Do it.
Okay, cool.
Here we go.
Welcome back to What's that? You start giving yourself a head massage?
I am. Don't make fun of me, Holly. It relaxes me.
All right, great.
I'm sorry. Don't you have an introduction to do?
Yeah, I have an introduction to do, if you wouldn't mind.
Okay, go for it.
Hello, coffiners. Once again, welcome back to Coffin Talkin', where we unravel the mysteries, embrace the peculiar, and find humor in the unconventional world of funerals and death. Here's Frank.
Hi, Holly.
Hi, Dad.
So before we get into it, I just want to say, hey, how was your week?
It was pretty good.
Fantastic.
Today,
why was it?
Work was insane. So I'm very tired from work today.
Insane as far as good insane? Or
no,
insane to where it was nonstop and all of a sudden you're thinking, I can finally grab a breath, but you were wrong?
Yes.
Okay.
Like that. Like from 8 o'clock this morning.
Yeah, that's how I felt my day went today. So I can relate. So I'm sorry about that.
Just one thing after the other keeps coming up. But
so how are you feeling now, though? Are you kind of relaxed? And
yeah, I'm feeling better. I made bread. So I ate bread.
Oh, good.
And Caden came in from school. He doesn't have school on Fridays, but he goes to study and do his homework and all that stuff. And he came home and took one look at me and said, I'm going to go get a soda. And he left and got a soda and brought me back chocolate.
Oh my gosh, what a good husband.
I know.
How nice is that?
He could gauge how quickly he knew I needed chocolate.
And how quickly the evening may turn sour.
Yeah. It's like,
if he didn't have a hankering
right now.
What's his favorite soda?
He's been on a Coke kick lately. Oh. Usually it's Dr. Pepper, but he gets Coke now with a little bit of lime in it.
Diet Coke or regular Coke?
No, he gets regular Coke.
Okay. Huh.
Are you a big soda drinker?
I you know what, Coffiners, I'll just be honest with you. I stopped drinking soda in February of this year.
That's amazing. You haven't drunk any since?
No, it was a goal.
Wow, good job.
Yeah, well, thanks.
Mom's no help. She's gotten crazy into soda.
She likes soda. I don't know that she's gotten crazy into it.
No, she hasn't. She does like crazy
sodas.
Into it. And when I say she's gotten crazy into it, it's because growing up we never had soda in the house, and we went to dinner and you did not get soda.
Not for the most part.
Yeah, but now I'll hear Mom and say, "Oh, I need a Diet Coke." Mm-hmm. What? Who are you?
I'm craving a Diet Coke.
Yeah. So that's her version of crazy into soda. So
that's right.
Diet Coke every once in a while.
Once every 8 weeks or so.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's insane.
Man, you're crazy. You're insane.
You're crazy. Who are you?
You just had one.
You had one 3 months ago. Why do you need it? Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. There is something to be said about the way she drinks it.
Oh, sure. So that's the.
It's cute. It's cute. It's cute to listen to. Just wait for it.
Just wait for it. So your week was also crazy.
Yep. It's been early morning, late night. Tonight was the first night I think I got home before 5 o'clock. Mm. Well, no, it was even after 5 o'clock tonight, but it's been way early mornings and late nights. So it's good. Glad to be doing this.
Anything fun coming up on the weekend?
Well, maybe I'll go shooting with my son. Don't know for sure yet, but he did invite me, so I'm hoping to go.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. Do you like to go shooting? Do you like to shoot?
I like shooting.
Okay.
I don't know. Like it's fun to go every once in a while.
Yeah, I'm not
I
so, I don't have to do it every month.
right.
If once I do it, I'm good for probably 6 months.
It's not like a hobby,
Right.
but it's fun to go do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think what I would like to do is to like really understand the in and outs of a gun and like how to work it safely, I guess. Cause
Hmm.
like I know how to reload and stuff like that, but also do I really? When I reload when I'm reloading a clip, the last time me and Scott went shooting, when I was reloading a clip, it took me like 3 minutes to
Oh, wow.
reload it. So I just need to practice and like I want to be more comfortable around guns.
Sure. There are people that could probably take apart and rebuild the gun you were using in the 3 minutes it took you to load the
Oh
clip.
yeah. I have no doubt about that. Scott being one of them.
Yeah, you're probably right. Oh, well,
Oh
that's fine.
geez.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's fine. I think that's it for me. Anything else for you?
Sorry, no. I'm sorry, Coffiners. I was actually yawning.
That was a huge yawn.
So I'm sorry. I'm just kind of on fumes right now, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's good. So it's all good. No, I didn't really have anything other than major work episodes this week, and very touching and emotional. It was an emotional week.
Oh, with
So
like
it's
with the clients that you had?
mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, we did the full spectrum. We did baby.
Mhm.
We had individual that took her, I guess, wanted to be euthanized because of her cancer. And then
Oh.
we had someone that took his own life. And so just the stories in between, it just started to wear on me just a little bit. And I don't normally get too worn down by it, but this week was a little different.
I mean, especially having one after the other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of
Yeah.
like
That is
all
true
of the
because
saddest cases.
you can usually span them out or spread them
Mhm.
out over a week, not over a week, but over a month, over 2 months.
Right.
But when they're all in one week,
That's
yeah,
heavy.
you do begin to think about your own mortality even more than you normally do. So I
Yeah.
don't know. Do
Sure.
you think a lot about your own mortality? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. I do, but also
Oh,
I'm the daughter of a mortician, so I don't know
oh
if
man.
that skews it at all.
Hmm. You know what? You know what? Actually, it made me very emotional this week, and I'm going to be honest
What?
with you, Coffiners. Is two, three, four individuals were in attendance to the services who said that they had been friends for 25 years or longer.
Oh,
And I
wow.
started thinking to myself and about my own life, and I started thinking, do I have a friend that I've had for 25 years? I mean, truly, that I could call a friend. There are
Mm,
associates, there are people that you'll occasionally call, but these individuals were friends that they communicated almost 2 to 3 times a week for the span of 25 years.
yeah.
Have you?
That's crazy.
Could you say that, Holly? Could you think back? And I'm telling you right now, if I had to really struggle to find, even in my mind, someone that I'd been friends with for, well, maybe you know what? Maybe I have. I just
Well,
haven't
I
thought
mean,
about it.
siblings.
Yeah, siblings for sure. But there are
Mhm.
people also in our community that I've associated with for over the past 30 years that I would consider friends. We don't
Right.
communicate any other time, that maybe once a week. Even then, it's minimal, but I would still consider them friends. But
Yeah,
anyway,
for sure.
I kind of got emotional when they started saying
Mhm.
how long they had been friends and that what built their friendship and what made their friendship strong. So
Oh.
mm,
You know what? I do see, I guess, yeah, I think that there is okay, you know what? This might be slightly sacrilegious, but I saw a meme, was it today? And it said the real miracle that Jesus worked was having 12 close friends in his 30s. Because I feel like it's so hard to make new friends.
oh my gosh, that is funny.
I
That is
know,
funny. But
but
they still question his friendship after 3 years. So
You're right.
You're going to do what now?
So how close can it really be?
Yeah. You want us to
Yeah.
follow you where?
Are you sure? No, but honestly, it's so hard to keep close friends, and I feel like that's why it's so important to keep the ones that you do have.
And Coffiners, those of you that are my friends and have been for years, thank you.
Well, we have new friends with all of our Coffiners.
Yes, we do. I would love to meet all of them, actually. Maybe sometime a Zoom meeting. I don't know. Yeah.
That'd be really fun.
Anyway, it would be fun. So anyway, that's my little insight into the funerals this past week. And I've just thought a lot about that today, actually. Started thinking about, where's my friend base? I don't know.
So what did you think? Well, okay, we're friends.
I know we are.
Hello.
Thanks, friend Holly.
You're welcome, friend Father.
Oh, boy.
Oh, my God.
Thank you, friend Father. It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's great. Cherish your friends, Coffiners. That's our frank philosophy for today.
It's true. You never know when they're going to go or when they're going to pass away.
Well,
so you just
dark.
What's that?
I said, let's not make it dark and depressing.
Well, man, this whole week of just making you never know when your time is up, and so the friendships you have, let people know they are your friend.
Yeah, that's true.
That you appreciate them.
Yeah.
So there's the message.
With your friend.
That's the message.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I say let's go ahead and be frank, even if you are running on fumes.
Thank you, Holly. Okay. So I want to go ahead and start. I think I'm going to just address some of the issues that I hear about on a weekly basis. And I know we address some of them in Phone a Funeral. And so if this first little part is new, great. If it's been repeated and talked about before, then sorry. So one of the funerals that we did today or this week is the total funeral came to about $3,500.
Okay.
And the gentleman looked back at me and he goes, "What are we missing?" And I said, "What do you mean? What are we missing?" And he goes, "Well, what's missing that in the service that you're not telling us? Yeah, that you're not telling us about." And I said, "No, that's it. That's the entire package. That includes a casket, includes your flowers, any incidentals that you may want, printed package, so forth." And he goes, "Man, I thought that it was going to be $10,000.
Oh, wow.
So the myth or the I guess what I want to address first before I get into the story is the fact that funerals can vary according to the budget of an individual. And I think if most businesses are reputable and are willing to do so, they should be telling you as you start asking things like, okay, what about flowers? Okay, we can do that for such and such amount. Yeah. What about caskets? Well, they start at this amount, and depending upon how far you want to go, you can go up to $15,000 to $20,000 for a casket. But most of our caskets are in the price range of this and this. Okay, and now someone said something about a vault. See what I'm saying? Yeah. And so, yeah, we can do all that, but I think it's fair to the individual to let them know as they're building on in their mind what it is they need and what they're going to want. At least some sort of a calculation that they can be tabulating in their own mind.
Right.
And I think that is probably the most important thing. And so I just looked at the gentleman and I just said, "No, that's our price." And he goes, "Man, I cannot believe that." And the same thing happened with a young lady that came in to do cremation for her father. She saw the price and she handed me back the contract and she said, "That's not enough." And I said, "What?
Not enough. Wow.
That's not enough." And I said,
I'll
"What do you mean?"
Tip.
Yeah, I gave her a quote or I gave her the contract and it was, I'll be honest, it was about $850. And she goes, "That's just not enough." And I said, "Well, if you want, you can put a 1 in front of that 8. And she goes,
"I won't complain."
She goes, "I still wouldn't complain." And I said, "Oh, wow." Yeah, so it was very interesting to me that even though we might, because we're considering right now raising prices and almost have to with the way the economy is going. But
yeah.
Anyway, So, coffiners, I just want you to be aware that there is so many different variables when it comes to funerals. You don't have to think that every single one of them is going to be $10,000. You don't have to think that every single one of them is as low as 600. There's so many different things you can do, and all you have to really do is ask and be willing to share if you feel comfortable enough to say, that's not my budget. And that's all you have to say. It's not my budget. So, and then
I feel like too, the most important part is like finding a funeral director that you trust.
Yeah.
So that when they give you the quote, you know that they're not being sneaky about it.
Yeah, it's true. And one of the things that I've discovered in my age, getting older and older, is that I wish I knew more about cars, because I just do not know if someone's raking me over the coals when I have a car issue,
right?
Or if they're making up things that need to be added to something that doesn't really need to, like a brake. Oh yeah, you're also going to need a new tire. You're also going to need tire rods. You're going to need a flywheel, or whatever the case is. What?
Right. Okay. Sure.
Hold on. It was running fine before it got here.
Right. Did you break this?
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I think you're right. That if you have someone that you trust with regards to the funeral industry, by all means, you should go into and talk to them and just be able to ask them questions. And I think they would appreciate it as well, the funeral personnel.
Yeah.
So anyway, I want to share with you an experience that happened some time ago. And every time I think about it, I smile and yet have I feel guilty for smiling. And so You'll understand as I start to get into the story. And if you have questions, Holly, as it goes on, please ask. So I pulled up one morning. There was no activity like a funeral the night before. So I had this individual placed in a casket. The casket was closed. Beautiful oak casket, closed casket, and then moved to the cemetery the following morning. And as I made my way to the cemetery, I could see family members standing in this cul-de-sac where they were just looking onto the grave site that was already open. The lowering device was up and prepared to receive the casket. And I just kind of waved at them as I came around the corner, and they waved back, and got out of the car, and I grabbed the permits necessary for the cemetery for them to actually facilitate the burial. And the person that was working the funeral service came up to me and said, "Hey, what's going on?" And I said, "What do you mean what's going on?" She says, "What are you doing here? Are you doing a grave, just the burial?" Because we were told it was just a committal. And I said, "Oh, what does a committal mean to you?" And she says, "Well, that you bring the casket out, you set it on the grave." So you set it on the grave, and then you guys just go ahead and leave. And I said, "No, that's an immediate burial. A committal is where we place the casket on the grave, and then you have actual services at the cemetery, which allow individuals to actively either participate or actually listen to the services that are being rendered." And she goes, "Oh, well, that's not what I understood it to be." And so I just, from the very get-go, I was having an issue with the cemetery personnel. Then they started pulling tables from their trucks and stuff, because they were going to have some sort of a dinner or some sort of a luncheon at the cemetery right after the gravesite. So they started pulling the tables from the truck and started setting them up. And again, this young lady, probably mid-20s, came to me and said, "Frank, what are they doing?" And I said, "They're setting up for the food after the service." She goes, "We don't allow that here." And I wasn't looking at her when she said that. And I just turned around and I looked at her and I said, "Someone in your facility told this family they could have food at the graveside because they told me that's what you said." Well, yeah. I told them they could bring food, but nothing said.
It was her?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
But nothing set up on tables. There's no way we can do that. And I said, "Okay." I said, "They're already set up. Do you want to tell them?" And she just said, "That's exactly what she said." And she said, "Would you please tell them that they have 1 hour?" So from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock. And I looked at her and I just said, when that casket left the mortuary and I brought it onto your property, the cemetery property, it seems to me now like that you're in charge of the services. So if you want them to end in an hour, you can tell them that it has to be over by 11 o'clock. Mm-hmm. And then she just looked at me and she said, "Well, I'm not going to do that. And she just walked away, but she was on her phone, looking down on her phone the entire time. And so every once in a while during the course of getting the casket on the grave and getting individuals set for the services to begin, I would keep just kind of occasionally looking at her, and she's always on that phone, always looking down at it. And so I just thought, well, if you're not going to take charge of the service, I will. And so we went on ahead and we got the casket out of the car, walked it to the gravesite, and set the casket on the grave. This service actually had more than one minister participating in the service. And it was the deceased's wish to have more than one minister at the service. Now, most services at graveside, and thank goodness this wasn't a heat of the summer graveside, but as I remember, it was kind of a cool morning. It started at 10, and I mentioned to the pastors, I said, hey, listen, this cemetery is starting to give me a little bit of an attitude. They want to have the services ended by 11 so they can lower the grave. Well, the one pastor looked at me and he said, well, I think we have enough sermon to last till about 11:10. And I go, and he says, they want us to end even with food to be served by 11
within
o'clock?
an hour?
Yeah, all within an hour. And I said, that's exactly what she's saying. He said, well, that won't.
Yeah, no, that's not going to happen.
I said, I've done my duty. I said, I told
you.
I told her I would mention it to you guys. You guys are actually handling the services, so you know what the cemetery will require. He said, okay, great. So the service began, and it was very interesting. It started out slow. We had about 10, maybe 20 people there at 5 minutes to 10. But at 10 o'clock to 10:05, we easily had 100 people in attendance.
Wow.
So everyone started to come late, as is the case in most often. And the cemetery was kind enough to set up an awning and also have some chairs set out so that people could sit down if they wanted to, but they did not. They didn't sit down. And so these 2-3 ministers started their preaching, their service itself, talking a little bit about the lady that passed away. We were into the service about 45 minutes. And I just thought to myself, this is interesting, only in the sense that one would speak English, another one would speak English, then the third one would try and translate everything that was said by those two ministers back into Spanish. And so it did last a little longer only because of the translation stuff. And so I was interested in that because I just thought, well, how would I have translated that? And I think, that's kind of interesting. I don't think I would have used that, but they're native speakers. And so you just kind of learn. Right. So in the interim of doing that, I had looked over to this, and I don't know if I mentioned this just a minute ago, sorry, but I looked back over to this lady, this young girl that was supposed to be working the service, and she's not even with the group, which kind of irritates me, because if you're going to be there working, you should be mingling with the group, especially if you're the one that sold the property and stuff. You should be right there with them so that you just make a physical presence known. Right. So she wasn't there. She was off to the side, and she was just looking at her phone. And I was thinking to myself, oh, brother. And I just looked over to her for about maybe 3 seconds. And then I pulled my attention back to the group that was standing there. And all of a sudden, everyone was huddled around one lady who had actually collapsed. So no one had been sitting. She was standing. She's elderly. She's I would guess she would have been about mid-70s. But she has collapsed. And so people are gathering around her and trying to see what they could do to help her out. And she was out. I mean, not in a comatose state, but she was out. Obviously, you could see her that she was unconscious. Mm-hmm. And someone just made a mention, where's her husband? And someone else said, well, he just ran that direction. So all of a sudden,
he just ran for the food.
By the way, it wouldn't have been far. It would have been just a hop, skip, and a jump. But yeah, he did. They said he ran, and so everyone was trying to get her to come back to consciousness, and eventually she got to the point where she could sit up. And here comes her husband running across the cemetery, and he's got something in his hands, it almost looks like a chocolate bar, something sweet. He was probably used to her collapsing or having some diabetic episode. And so, I have to go back just a minute. So when she first collapsed, people were on their phone calling 911. and
Mm.
needing 911 to show up to help this lady because no one knew really what was going
What
on.
was happening?
They described, what do you mean? We're in this cemetery. Just come in. You'll see a circular drive. There's a hearse there. Come in. That's where we are.
Yeah. We're
It was
at a
kind
gravesite.
of,
If she passes
funny.
away, we're ready.
It was kind of funny listening to their descriptions of what they were giving on how to get the fire truck in there and the ambulance. So,
Oh yeah.
So in the interim, in the distance, I could hear the fire truck coming, and this is a fine line that the funeral director has to play. You don't know if you want to step in and actually try and help. You can help, but you can't offer. You just really can't get too involved with it, because if you do something wrong, then of course the funeral home's held liable, the cemetery could be held
Right.
liable. You just don't want to do that. You just rather have the. But so anyways, there were plenty of people hovering around this woman, helping her. In their minds, they were helping her. So this comment had been made as the sirens are being heard, and as I look to my left and I see this fire truck coming, or I can hear the fire truck in the distance. In that moment, I look to my left and I see this lady's husband, who we had heard ran away, right?
Yeah.
So now he's running back, and he's got something in his hands. It looks like kind of a sweet or something that he was going to give her to help her get out of that mode. He too is in his late 70s, and he's running as fast as he can across the cemetery when he trips and falls and hits his head on a cemetery on a headstone.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
On a flat headstone. The problem is, Holly, is he didn't move.
Oh
He
my
fell.
gosh.
He fell, hit his head on the marker, and did not move. And so someone ran over to him, only to discover that he was now resting in his own blood on the marker.
Are you serious? Did
Yes.
he die?
Just a minute. And so he is now totally unconscious. In the meantime, this lady is now sitting up, wanting to know where her husband is, and they just kind of, oh, he's over there. Look at him. He's like,
Don't look at him. Don't look.
Oh, he's right there.
We come in looking going to the lady. No, go there. Go there.
Just a minute. We can all see him. He's just right over there. Oh my gosh. So anyway, the fire truck pulls up. So does the ambulance, and they all rush to this lady because that's who they were called to help.
Yeah,
right?
That was the call in.
So she is now sitting up and talking, and someone motions to them that someone has fallen over there, and they're bleeding. And so all of a sudden their attention went from her to him. And they rolled him over, and sure enough, he was out. He was not moving at all. You could lift his arm and it would be as limp as possible. It would just drop. You could have dropped his arm in a beehive and it wouldn't have phased him because he was completely out. I mean, he was unconscious.
Oh my God.
So they lift him up. And so the wheelchair that they had been wheeling across the cemetery to get to her was now going to be used for him. And so they put him in you know what a sling is? They put him in a sling and then lifted him up onto the stretcher, and then angled the stretcher so it looked like he was sitting up as opposed to laying down. Yeah. And they started to do some testing as far as like starting an IV, cleaning his face up, seeing what damage might have been done. His eye was bruised, a little cut above his left eye, but they were moving him back to the ambulance when the cemetery was so uneven that it was just hard for them to actually make their way across the cemetery. No. So one points to another and says, hey, why don't we use and you can see, I didn't hear it, but you could kind of get together and figure out what it is they're trying to do, right? So let's go over there to the sidewalk. It's much smoother, and we just walk it around down to the ambulance. So what did they do? The two of them get to that sidewalk, and there's that little bit of a lip. They didn't lift the chair. They pushed it, and the chair went backwards, and they were trying to catch it. And then he was flailing to the one side or the other. And so one's trying to catch him and keep him centered in the chair, and the chair just hits the ground. And then you know what they did? They kind of looked at us as though like, did anyone see that?
You see that? This isn't our best moment. Can we forget that?
And so anyway, I will never forget that they just tried to put him back up and then wheeled him off the sidewalk back towards their ambulance, loaded him in the ambulance, and then took off. Well, what about the woman? You know exactly where I'm going. So the what's left of the fire department, they pick up this woman and they start walking with her. Now, mind you, she's just collapsed. And
Right.
she's just really slowly walking, and they did a field MRI, and so they decided that maybe she had suffered just a minor heart attack. Right?
Oh
So now
my.
they're lifting her just a little bit and deciding to walk with her to the fire truck. I don't know what they're going to do with her in the fire truck. Where are you going to
Right.
put her? I'm thinking to myself, okay, where are you going?
What's the plan?
What's the plan? And I'll tell you what, they must have known that immediately, because when they got to the fire truck, they just laid her on the ground. They first of all opened the back door, where there's the engineer in the front, and then there's whoever rides in the back. I don't know what all their positions are, but they opened the back, and I'm thinking to myself, are you going to lay her on that seat?
You're gonna hey, put the seat down.
Yeah, we got one coming in. Put the
We
seat
got
down.
one more.
I told you we needed a paramedic truck. So anyway, so they laid her back down on the ground, and they just kind of motioned her. You touched her shoulder, like kind of stay down, don't get up, don't do too much movement. And so I guess that in the interim, they were kind of hoping, I would think, that this ambulance would come back, because that was who was initially called, right, for this lady.
Right.
So in the interim of this lady being walked before they laid her down, they were walking her to the fire truck, when one of them, now this all happened simultaneously, and I'm sorry I'm not doing a good job of it. You just got a picture. Here you've got two firefighters or paramedics with this turned over wheelchair with a guy in it that had just collapsed. We got two that are now trying to walk this lady across the cemetery. The one that's holding the lady up, one of the two, says, hey, can you hold her for a moment while I go help them? And so he lets go of her side, and then the one that's holding onto the lady reaches over for a chair, and down she goes again.
Oh,
and
no.
So, yes, this time she's on her back, and they didn't do anything. They didn't try to move her, nothing. In fact, they dragged her.
They dragged her?
They dragged her. And they, in most cemeteries, they have the lawn portion, then the rock portion, and then the pavement. So there's a little bit of a break between the cemetery and where vehicles can park. Yeah. So they're dragging her, and they stopped right at the edge of the cemetery. And I'm just thinking to myself, and I'm just looking, and I'm thinking, geez, how do you get out of this one? Because that's just what I'm thinking. But now remember, you've got probably 100 people that have seen all of this.
Yeah.
And as I'm sitting there watching that, I look to my right, and where all this food is. Now, they were making food plates. The food plates look great. I mean, there was homemade tamales, there was rice, there was homemade refried beans, pasta, some other crunchy vegetables. And as they were dipping them out, I guess everyone was concentrating over there, but people were standing at the table waiting for food. And one of the ladies that had been dishing out the refried beans, it was in this in kind of a slow cooker, but just in the ceramic portion of the slow cooker. It wasn't in the cooker. Does that make sense? So that part you can pull out of the cooker. Yes. So it was on top of during the service, it had been being warmed up by these little canister ovens, stove oven, where you can light the little flames and it keeps the thing warm.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So that's what was under it. And so they had gotten to a point where they either needed to tip it to get some more refried beans or whatever the case might be. So the lady reaches in and she grabs this crock and she picks it up. And at the time, she's ay, and she just yells because she's burning her hands now. And in the burning of setting it down, she flipped it.
Oh, no.
And in the flip caused hot refried beans, to land on 3 individuals that were standing there waiting to be served on their neck and lower face.
Oh my gosh.
So they're scratching almost like they're waving off bees.
Yeah.
And you can see them scraping and screaming, oh, it's hot, it's hot, it's hot. And so suddenly they call 911. So, and lo and behold, the ambulance that took the first guy pulls
Yeah.
in. It's the same ambulance.
Oh my.
It's the same people. And I thought, oh, this is going to end terribly.
Oh no.
Oh no. So anyway, so they went on ahead. These guys got out of the ambulance. The ambulance then traded the wheelchair for this lady that was now lying on the cemetery grounds. And then they walked over and started treating these other ladies for burns.
Mm-hmm.
And I just looked at and then this young lady that worked for the cemetery comes over and she goes, "What in the is going on here?" And I looked at her and I said,
"We're really trying to make your 11 o'clock deadline."
I looked at her and I said, "Have you been on your phone the entire time? Have you not even known have you not even seen what's been going on? What happened, Frank? What's been going on?" So I recapped it in a nutshell what was going on. She said, "Oh, I had no idea. I just saw all these people cuddled around and gathered around. I didn't know someone got hurt. What happened? Was it on the cemetery grounds? Was it our fault?" And then maybe I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, Dayton. Someone else can work that out. I'm not gonna deal with that. And then she goes, "Well, tell them it's time to close the service." Now, okay, listen. I just want you coffинers to know, after the story I've just told you, do you think it would be sensitive of me to just, oh, by the way, folks,
it's done. Show's over, people.
By the way, folks, time has ended. We have reached our maximum time limit here at the cemetery.
3 of you already got food. They're being treated for it now.
Oh my gosh. And so I waited for the ladies to be treated. I waited for the other one to be taken to the hospital. And then I just said, "I am so sorry. I don't mean to be insensitive, but I have been reminded once again by the cemetery personnel, because I threw it all on them, by the cemetery personnel, that it is time for us to move on. So if you have your food, thank you. Please take it to your vehicles and associate somewhere later outside the cemetery grounds." That's the way I put it, just without being too. And so anyway, I looked at her and I said, "I got to leave before anything else happens."
I get
because I don't know what's going to happen here anymore. So I just walked over to my car and she says, "Where are you going?" I said, "Yeah, my part's over. We're done." And so I walked to the cemetery. Yes. And so I walked over to the car, opened it up, started, and left the cemetery. So I have no idea what happened to the elderly couple, nor do I know what happened with the burns on the 3 women that were standing at I guess 4, the one that was holding the pot had to be treated as well.
Oh my.
So anyway, that I was just thinking about that, smiling, thinking, about a couple of weeks ago, I was sitting there thinking, with the week I've had, I thought, what's kind of the weirdest thing I've actually seen and been a part of, and that had to be
service.
It. Yeah, and that had to be part of it. So the family came up to me and said, before I left, before I left, I walked up to them and I said, I do need to go. I do have another, but this is how the day started. And I'm thinking to myself, where do you go from here?
Yeah. There's no coming back from this.
So anyway, I just said, "I am so grateful. I'm so sorry about the loss of your loved one. And please call me with any questions you have regarding the services or anything that we might be able to help you." Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did call her and she never called me back. I did call her. No. It was probably about 2 days after the services were rendered. And I just thought that was only fair. But I did want to know, and that's seriously, Holly, this probably took place well over, I don't know, a year and a half ago.
Oh.
So I just wanted to make sure that, what happened. And I still don't know. I don't know what happened to those individuals. I don't know if the man, I think the man died, truthfully, because he had so much blood losing out of his head that I don't know if he broke his nose, if it was from the cut on his eye or what.
Yeah.
He was completely out. And then to be dropped like that on the sidewalk as well, without any movement at all. I mean, just thinking, oh my gosh. So anyway, I really don't know, but coffiners, that's kind of an interesting story that you could relate if you wanted to, but it's funny how things in life snowball. And so And so and it doesn't have to be funerals, but you could think in your own life about things that snowball and the snowball effect that it would have in your life, where
Oh
you can
my
just start and think,
gosh.
well, what's happening now? And all of a sudden, oh, it couldn't get worse. And it does get worse. And you say,
Oh, wait, it
what?
can. Oh,
Yeah, it
good,
can.
help's here. Oh, wait, the help dropped me on the sidewalk.
That's what I love about you, Holly. You can do the Reader's Digest version.
That's right.
What do you mean she's being dragged to the side of the...
I just have this image of them dragging her over the rocks. And she's just... Oh my gosh.
Oh, wow.
What a mess.
Anyway, yeah. So that
I don't
is...
think you could come back from that, honestly.
Well, even if you do you want to? Do you want to
Do you
actually
want
admit
to?
it?
Yeah.
But what is interesting is, as I was pulling away, I was thinking, if the family decided to sue, who would they sue?
I don't know. Maybe like if the grass was overgrown where he tripped.
Yeah, but it wasn't. It was very well manicured, and it always is around open gravesides.
I don't know.
But the cemetery, you think, well, the cemetery was responsible because they didn't put the headstones level with the ground. Well, that's not always the case.
But then hold on. Can't you sue the fire department for not doing a great job?
Thank you. You could. Can't you sue the lady that was holding the refried beans?
For sure. Can't you sue the person who died for bringing you all together today?
Oh, man. I'm telling you, could you sue the cemetery because they're making you rush to get things done? I don't know.
Yes. Could the woman sue her husband? Could the husband sue his wife?
You collapse at the most inopportune time. See what I mean at the beginning, Coffiners? This is the one that makes me smile.
I know, I feel bad about laughing so much about this, but that's so funny.
With the injuries that have occurred, should not be funny, excepting the episodes that were transpiring around the cuts and the falls was, oh my gosh.
And this is all happening at the same time?
I'm thinking,
gosh.
What next? What could actually happen next?
That's why you're saying, okay, I'm going to leave. So it's not me next time.
Right. That's right. Yeah. Don't be looking at me. Don't be blaming me. I'm out of here right now while I'm
out of here.
Well, I'm still walking.
Yeah. I'm not being dragged to my car.
Why? Oh, because you said that, I got the image of her being dragged.
Was she unconscious while she was being dragged?
Oh, she collapsed again. I don't know that she came to. Maybe she did, but they're probably forcing her to stay down.
Oh my gosh. We're going to elevate your legs by just dragging you here. Oh my gosh.
Oh man. Anyway, I just thought, is this the first week of being on the job?
It's like a soap opera, honestly. Everyone's first week of being on the job.
Oh my word. So anyway. Oh, okay. Good.
I guess today's moral of the story is number one, you can sue anyone for any reason. Number two, look up from your phone because you're probably missing a lot.
Number three. I've got a number three.
Number three, I have one too.
Go.
If you don't want to walk to the ambulance, feign another heart attack. They'll just drag you.
Okay, number four is don't always trust the professionals.
Yeah, never. Number five. Don't trust the refried beans.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, no.
Oh, boy. See, this is exactly the way I started thinking about it. Then I just started laughing, thinking, I can't believe that this happened. Who knows what happened to the people, but it was funny watching.
But man. Jeez. That's insane.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, wow. All happening at once.
Oh my gosh, yes. Oh, wow.
Please consider those life lessons, and don't make the same mistakes.
What governors? What lessons could we derive from your life in an hour?
Yeah. Tell us
in an hour from your life.
Oh my gosh, because it had to be only an hour. That was the time limit.
By the way, it was 11:45 when I left.
We tried. We really tried.
Oh my gosh. Even the pastor one of them came up to me and said, you better be closing this. I'm sure they're very angry.
Those pastors had a lot of people to pray over at that minute.
I thought to myself, what? You're worried about the cemetery?
Worried about that? They were also on their phones.
Probably. Wait, what's going on here?
Wait, hold on.
Maybe some of the refried brains hit the pastor in the arm, said, food fight.
Food fight.
I should stop making jokes about it. Oh, wow.
Well, that's that, Coffiners. If we missed any life lessons out of this story, please email.
Oh boy. Okay, sorry, Ollie. Where are they going to email?
Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. Please email us at letsbefrank@coffintalkin.com or send us a DM on Instagram @coffintalkin. And we'll see you next week.
Bye, Coffiners. Okay, that's good.